The human ship Perseverance moved slowly through the darkness towards a giant station, floating above Vareth Prime. Captain Doing Kim stood on the bridge, watching the structure grow larger on the screen. 20 years in the military had shown him many things, but nothing like this. The station was massive, built over thousands of years by hundreds of different alien species. Light sparkled across its surface in patterns that seemed almost alive. "They are calling us," Minji Park said from her station. Her fingers danced across the controls. "Sending docking instructions now." Do-hyun nodded slowly. "Take us in carefully. We do not want them thinking we are dangerous." Behind him, Ambassador So-min Lee checked her uniform one more time. She had spent 3 years getting ready for this day. 3 years learning alien languages, studying their cultures, practicing their customs. Humanity had only invented faster-than-light travel 5 years ago. Compared to these ancient civilizations, humans were babies taking their first steps into a huge universe. "Nervous?" asked Taeyang Choi. The security commander stood near the door, looking relaxed but alert. Combat training never really left a person. He was always watching, always ready. "Very nervous," someone admitted. "These species have been traveling in space for thousands of years. We just got here. What if they laugh at us?" "Then we prove them wrong," Do-hyun said quietly. "Like we always do." The ship slid into the docking bay without trouble. Through the windows, they watched alien workers moving around, operating machines that looked both familiar and completely strange. Some walked on 2 legs like humans. Others floated through the air on wings or membranes. A few scuttled on 6 or 8 legs like insects. The variety was overwhelming. After the docking procedures finished, they left the ship. A tall, thin alien waited for them at the entrance. The creature had skin that shimmered like a pearl, changing colors in the light. 2 beautiful crystal antlers grew from its head, splitting the light into rainbows. Everything about the alien seemed graceful and elegant. "Welcome to Council Station," the alien said in perfect English. "I am Velmara, Chancellor of the Galactic Council. We have been expecting you." So-min stepped forward and bowed exactly as she had practiced hundreds of times. "Thank you for letting us come, Chancellor. Humanity is very grateful for this chance." Velmara's large eyes looked them over carefully. The expression was hard to read. "Yes, well, come along. The Council is waiting to meet you." They followed the Chancellor through hallways that seemed built for giants. Everything was too big, too tall. Minji kept looking at everything with wide eyes, her scientist brain trying to understand and remember it all. Taeyang walked a bit behind the group, his eyes always moving, checking exits and corners. Some habits never died. The council chamber took their breath away. It was enormous, like an ancient amphitheater, but much larger. Seats rose up in circles toward a domed ceiling made of clear material that showed the stars beyond. Hundreds of aliens sat in those seats. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange and alien that looking at them too long made the humans feel dizzy. The air smelled like 1,000 different worlds mixed together. Velmara brought them to the center of the floor. "Council members, I present the delegation from Earth. Humanity has recently achieved faster-than-light travel and wishes to join our community." Sound filled the chamber. Some of it was talking in languages the translator could handle. Other sounds were clicks, whistles, and vibrations that the machines struggled to interpret. Do-hyun felt hundreds of eyes staring at them. Some looked curious. Many looked like they did not think much of humans. A creature that looked like a giant insect spoke next. Its voice came through the translator as rapid clicking. "Humanity, you are very young to be asking for council membership. Most species spend hundreds of years developing peaceful space travel before coming to us. You have barely explored your own star system." So-min stepped forward calmly. We understand we are new honored representative, but we come here with open hearts. We want to learn from you, our galactic neighbors. We may be young, but we have things to offer too. A massive alien that looked like a living boulder rumbled in a deep voice. What can you offer? You have no special technology. Your planet is divided into nations to compete with each other. You have not even unified your own world yet. We offer a new perspective, Soman answered. We offer fresh ideas and energy. We offer friendship and cooperation. Every species brings something special to the Council. We believe humanity can add to the diversity that makes you strong. The talking and debating went on for hours. Different council members asked about Earth's history, its wars, its achievements and failures. Soman answered every question with patience and honesty. She did not hide humanity's violent past. She did not pretend Earth was perfect. Instead, she talked about how humans learned from mistakes, how they were still learning and growing. Finally, Velmara raised one elegant hand. The Council has heard humanity's request. We will discuss this and give our answer soon. Guards escorted the humans to a waiting room. Do-hyun paced back and forth, too nervous to sit. Minji looked over her notes, already thinking about what they could have said better. Taeyang stood by the window, watching ships arrive and leave the station. Do you think they will let us join? Soman asked quietly. I think they will give us a chance, Do-hyun replied. Whether we are ready for it is another question. After an hour, they were called back. Velmara stood in the center of the chamber. Her face was neutral, showing nothing. The Council has made a decision. Humanity will receive provisional observer status. You may attend council sessions and learn our ways. However, you will not have voting rights or full membership yet. This trial period will last 1 standard year. If you prove yourselves capable and peaceful, we will discuss full membership then. It was not everything they hoped for, but it was better than being rejected completely. Soman bowed deeply. We accept with great thanks, Chancellor. Humanity will prove we deserve your trust. As they walked out of the chamber, Taeyang looked at his datapad and frowned. The ship's sensors showed something strange near the border systems. Unknown vessels, moving together in formation, heading toward Council space. He marked the data for later review. Captain, he said quietly, we might have trouble. Do-hyun looked at the readings and felt cold worry in his stomach. Tell the Council. They need to know. But when Taeyang tried to report it, the Council Security Office barely listened. Your sensors are still set up for your home system, a board official told them. What you are seeing is probably just normal traffic. The Council has protected these borders for thousands of years. There is nothing to worry about. Taeyang wanted to argue, but Do-hyun touched his shoulder. We are observers now. We watch and learn. That is all. They were given rooms on the station, nice quarters designed for species shaped like humans. As Do-hyun lay in bed that night, he could not shake a bad feeling. The Council seemed so confident, so sure of their safety. They had lived in peace for so long that they forgot what danger looked like. He hoped he was wrong. But his gut instinct, the same instinct that kept him alive through many battles, told him trouble was coming. And when it came, the peaceful Council would not be ready. Outside his window, stars shone cold and distant in the black of space. And somewhere in that darkness, unknown ships moved closer to the station, bringing violence that the galaxy had not seen in a very, very long time. 3 days passed quietly on the station. The humans attended council sessions, watching aliens debate about trade routes and shipping schedules. The discussions were polite and slow. Species from different worlds argued about mineral rights with the same passion humans might argue about sports. Minji took careful notes, fascinated by how everything worked. Do-hyun found himself fighting to stay awake during a particularly boring argument about export tariffs. On the third day, the council gathered for another routine session. The big amphitheater filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Velmara called the meeting to order. Her voice echoed through the chamber. The agenda was normal and dull. Trade agreements, colony permits, small disputes between neighboring star systems. The humans sat in the observer section quietly. Soman studied how different species communicated, learning their gestures and body language. Taiyang sat near the exit. Old military habits. Always know where the doors are. Always have a way out. The lights died. Emergency power kicked in right away, flooding the chamber with red light. Confused sounds rippled through the assembled delegates. Velmara stood, her crystal antlers catching the emergency lights. Stay calm. This is probably just a power problem. Security will fix it shortly. Then the explosion started. 6 different parts of the station's hull exploded at the same time. Alarms screamed through the corridors. Through the windows, Do-hyun could see armored figures pouring through the holes. They moved with military precision, spreading out in organized patterns. Raiders, Taiyang said quietly. His hand moved to his sidearm. He had declared the weapon when they arrived, but was supposed to keep it holstered during diplomatic meetings. The chamber doors burst open. Armed figures in heavy armor stormed inside, weapons raised. They were bigger than humans, covered in thick scales, with eyes that glowed yellow in the red light. Krevtal, Minji realized, searching her memory. A species everyone thought was extinct for centuries. The raiders moved through the chamber like trained soldiers. They fired warning shots over the delegates' heads, herding them toward the center. Council security tried to respond, but there were only a few guards and they carried light weapons. The council had not seen real violence in thousands of years. Their security was designed for diplomatic incidents, not military attacks. In minutes, every council member was surrounded. The raiders controlled the entire chamber. Their leader, a massive Krevtal with scars across his face, stepped to the center. His armor was decorated with marks that Minji recognized as kill counts. "I am Threekener," the raider announced. His voice boomed without needing translation. "The council will listen. You will give us control of the Verith system, the trade routes through Sector 9, and access to your central banking networks. You have 1 hour to agree. For every 10 minutes you delay, one of you dies." Panic erupted. Some delegates tried to run. Raiders blocked every exit. Others begged and pleaded. The insect-like Korani were breaking apart in terror, their group mind fracturing. Even the giant Thornak representatives seemed frozen, unable to understand what was happening. Velmara's voice shook. "You cannot do this. The council has maintained peace for 12,000 cycles. There are rules, procedures for..." Threekener hit her casually with the back of his hand. The chancellor flew backward, crashing into other delegates. "Peace," the raider spit. "You grew weak with your peace. You forgot the galaxy has teeth. Now you pay for forgetting." He gestured to his soldiers. They grabbed a young alien named Persia and dragged her to the center. She was small and covered in soft fur, with big eyes wide with fear. Her species were herbivores from a world with no predators. She had probably never seen violence in her whole life. Threekener put his weapon to her head. 10 minutes have passed. The council will see we are serious. In the observer section, Soman stood slowly. Every eye turned to her. She walked forward calmly, hands visible and empty. Taiyang tensed, ready to move. Do-hyun put a hand on his shoulder. "Not yet. Wait. Let her go," Soman said. Her voice was steady and clear. "You do not want to do this." Threekener stared at her. Then he laughed, a harsh sound. "And what will you do, little human? Your council masters can barely stand. Sit down before you join her." Soman stopped 3 meters away. Her body looked relaxed, but something in her eyes was different. Something cold and calculating. Last warning. Let her go now. Or what? Threekoner's finger tightened on the trigger. He pulled it. The shot never fired. Taiyang crossed 20 meters in under 3 seconds. His first shot took Threekoner's weapon handoff at the wrist. The raider's scream was lost in sudden chaos as Taiyang's second and third shots dropped 2 more raiders before they could react. The chamber exploded into violence. Raiders turned toward the threat, raising weapons. But Doheen was already moving, tackling delegates out of the line of fire. Minji's fingers flew across her datapad, accessing the station's computer systems, locking doors and cutting air to certain sections. Soman, the diplomat who had spent 3 days bowing and speaking softly, grabbed Threekoner's fallen weapon with practiced hands. She fired twice, dropping raiders who were aiming at Taiyang's back. What happened next would be studied in military schools across the galaxy for years to come. The humans did not fight like any species the Council had ever seen. There was no hesitation, no warning, no holding back. They moved with precision that seemed almost mechanical, but their eyes showed cold intelligence, not programming. Taiyang flowed through the chamber like water. Each movement had purpose. He did not waste bullets. Every shot hit exactly where he aimed. Weapon hands, knees, shoulders. Shots that stopped raiders but left them alive. His face never changed. His breathing stayed steady despite the violence. Minji kept working her controls. Her voice stayed calm as she fed information to the others. 4 contacts coming to flank you, Taiyang. 2 more from the east corridor. Watch your left in 3 seconds. Dahin organized the panicked council members, moving them to cover behind overturned furniture and pillars. His military training took over, turning chaos into organized resistance. He shouted orders to council security officers, who could barely hold their weapons without shaking. The raiders outnumbered the humans 10 to 1. But numbers meant nothing against focused human efficiency. Within 15 minutes, half the raiders were down. Within 30 minutes, the rest were retreating, falling back toward their entry points. Threekoner, holding the stump where his hand used to be, stared at Taiyang with horror in his eyes. What are you? Taiyang's expression did not change. Human. The raider leader was tied up with the others. As station security finally arrived in numbers, they found council members huddled in groups, shaking and terrified. And they found 4 humans standing calmly among wounded raiders, weapons still ready, eyes still scanning for threats. The silence that followed was heavier than the violence had been. Every species in that chamber looked at the humans differently now. They had invited predators into their peaceful galaxy, and those predators had just shown exactly what they could do when others needed protection. Medics rushed in to treat the wounded. Most injuries were among the raiders, not council members. Taiyang had been precise with his shots, but precision made it no less frightening. The medical staff worked quietly, occasionally glancing at the humans with faces that mixed gratitude and fear. Velmara sat in a medical chair, being treated for bruises. Her hands shook. She had led the council for 30 years, managing disputes between hundreds of species with diplomacy and patience. She had never seen violence like this. None of them had. Persia, the young alien who almost died, approached Soman on trembling legs. You saved my life. Soman smiled gently. We could not let him hurt you, but the way you fought. Persia's voice trailed off. I have studied many species. I thought I understood violence. But what I saw today was different. You were not angry. You were not afraid. You were calm. How can you be calm while fighting? Soman's smile faded. She looked at Taiyang, who was refusing medical treatment despite a cut on his arm. We train for it. On Earth, violence is part of our history. We learn to control it, to direct it. When we fight, emotion only gets in the way. That is what frightens me, Persia admitted quietly. You are so very good at it. Night fell over the station. Emergency repairs continued. The holes were sealed. Power was restored. Security was increased. But the mental damage would take much longer to heal. Council members who had lived their entire lives in peace had witnessed real violence for the first time. Some were in shock. Others were angry. All were afraid of what they had learned about their new human friends. Medical teams worked through the night, treating wounded raiders and shaken delegates. Most of the injuries were on the raider side. Tai Yang had been very precise with his shots. Hands, knees, shoulders. Painful but not deadly. But precision made it even more frightening. The medical staff worked quietly, sometimes looking at the humans with expressions, mixing gratitude and fear. Velmara sat getting treatment for her bruises. Her hands would not stop shaking. She had led the council for 30 years, solving problems with words and patience. She had never experienced violence before. None of them had, not like this. A Thornak representative named Mervyn approached the humans slowly. The massive alien looked troubled, his rocky face creased with worry. Human Tai Yang, I must ask something. When you fought, I watched your body readings on the security systems. Your heart rate went down. Your stress chemicals decreased. This makes no sense. Most species panic when threatened. You became calmer. Tai Yang nodded. We call it combat focus. When danger comes, training takes over. Emotion shuts down. We see threats, calculate responses, act. It works better than panic. But it is also frightening, Mervyn said. You move like hunters. Your eyes track multiple targets at once. You work together without speaking, like you share one mind. This is predator behavior. Yes, Tai Yang agreed simply. Humans are predators. We evolved hunting big prey on a world full of dangerous animals. These instincts do not disappear just because we built spaceships. The Thornak was quiet for a long moment. I have lived 300 years. I have studied species from across the galaxy, but I never met anything like humanity. You are intelligent and social. You can be very kind. But underneath, you are still hunters. Still dangerous. We choose not to be dangerous, Tai Yang replied. That is the difference. Every human child learns control, learns when violence is right and when it is wrong. We could have killed every raider in this room. We chose not to. And if you chose differently, Tai Yang met the alien's glowing eyes. Then they would all be dead. The blunt honesty seemed to shake Mervyn deeply. He turned and walked away slowly, his massive form somehow seeming smaller. 3 days after the attack, the council called an emergency session. The chamber looked different now. Armed guards stood at every entrance, something never seen in council history. The delegates spoke in quiet voices, jumping at sudden noises. The attack had broken their feeling of safety. Velmara called the session to order. Her voice was stronger now, though her hands still trembled slightly. We gathered to discuss 2 things. First, the Krevtal attack and how it succeeded. Second, the human response and what it tells us about their species. A Korani representative spoke first. The insect's voice clicked rapidly. We reviewed all security recordings. We analyzed every body reading. The humans did not hesitate. They did not panic. They changed from diplomats to warriors instantly. This suggests military training far beyond what we expected from such a young species. A felon delegate stood. They saved us. Without them, many would have died. We should thank them, not question them. We do thank them, Averith replied. But we must also understand them. In 12,000 years of council history, We never saw such combat skill. Even species with warrior traditions show more emotion, more hesitation. The humans fought like machines. It is very unsettling. Soman stood in the observer section. May I speak, Chancellor? Velmara nodded slowly. You may. Soman walked to the center, the same spot where she faced Threekener hours before. I understand your fear. We showed you a side of humanity we hoped you would never need to see. But you need to understand where we come from. She gestured at the stars visible through the dome. Earth is what we call a death world. Gravity stronger than galactic standard. Oxygen levels that would poison many species here. Weather that swings from extreme heat to extreme cold. And predators. So many predators. Minji activated a display showing images from Earth. Lions hunting. Sharks circling in dark water. Bears standing taller than humans. Wolves running in packs. We evolved among these creatures, Soman continued. We were not the strongest or fastest. We survived through intelligence and working together. We learned to hunt as teams, to make tools, to plan ahead. These skills are coded into our DNA. They are part of being human. She paused, looking at the assembled delegates. But we also learned something else. We learned that violence must be controlled. That strength should protect the weak. That predators can choose to be guardians instead of killers. Yes, we are good at fighting. We had millions of years to practice. But we are also good at choosing not to fight. That choice is what makes us civilized. Dohin joined her. You invited us here as observers. You wanted to see if humanity was ready to join the galactic community. Today you saw what we can do when threatened. But you also saw that we used exactly as much force as needed and no more. We did not kill unless necessary. We protected you because it was right, not because we expected a reward. The chamber was silent. Every delegate was thinking the same thing. These humans were more dangerous than anyone realized. But they were also more valuable. In a galaxy that forgot how to defend itself, humanity remembered. Finally, Velmara spoke. The Council will take time to consider these events. We thank humanity for their help. But we must discuss what this means for galactic security going forward. Over the next days, things moved quickly. Taiyang was approached by representatives from many species, all wanting to learn human combat methods. He set up a basic training program, starting with simple defense. Teaching peaceful herbivores to fight was hard work. Many students struggled with the basic idea of treating another being as a threat. No, Taiyang said patiently to a Thornax student trying to hold a weapon. You grip it like you fear it will hurt you. The weapon is a tool. Respect it, but do not fear it. The Thornax tried again, his huge hands shaking. I cannot do this. My people do not believe in causing harm. Then do not cause harm, Taiyang replied. Believe in protecting others. That is different. Minji worked with council engineers, checking security systems and finding weaknesses. She was shocked by how vulnerable the station was. You have almost no backup systems, she explained to an engineer. If someone cuts power to Sector 3, the entire East Wing goes dark. On a human station, we would have backups for the backups. We never needed such things, the engineer said defensively. The council has been peaceful for 12,000 years, yes, Minji interrupted gently. I have heard this many times. But peace ended 3 days ago. Now we prepare for reality. Soman met with various council groups, helping navigate the political mess after the attack. Some species wanted huge military spending. Others insisted more weapons would only create more violence. She worked to find middle ground, pushing for defense without militarization. Think of it like a house, she explained to some Varth diplomats. You lock your doors not because you expect thieves, but because it makes sense. Security does not mean aggression. It means being prepared. Dalian spent time with Velmara, discussing creation of a joint defense force. The Chancellor was still struggling with what happened with the violence she witnessed. I led the council for 30 years, she said quietly. I was proud of solving problems through talking. I believed any problem could be solved with patient discussion. Then a raider put a gun to a young scholar's head, and all my beliefs meant nothing. Talking is still important, Do-hyun assured her. But talking only works when both sides want to talk. The raiders did not want to talk. They wanted to take. Against such enemies, you need different tools. Tools like humanity. Tools like the ability to defend yourselves, Do-hyun corrected. We are not your weapons, Chancellor. We are your teachers. We will show you how to protect what you value. What you do with that knowledge is up to you. Velmara nodded slowly. I hope we are wise enough to use it well. As the week ended, Taiyang found something disturbing in his reports. He compared the raiders' entry points with station traffic patterns and discovered someone had been feeding information to the Krevtal for months. The attack required detailed knowledge of council security. There is a spy on the station, he told the others during a private meeting. Someone helped the raiders, and they are still here. Do we tell the council? Minji asked. Dalian thought about it. Not yet. If we alert them, the spy will know we are looking. Better to investigate quietly. Hunting, Soman said with a slight smile. Even in diplomacy, we fall back on our predator instincts. Hunting is what we do best, Taiyang replied. And this time, the prey does not even know we are watching. The humans began their search carefully, watching and waiting. Somewhere on the station, someone had betrayed the council. And humanity would find them, using the same patient tracking skills their ancestors used to hunt prey across ancient Earth's plains. Days turned into weeks. The humans attended council sessions while quietly investigating. They watched communication patterns, analyzed access logs, tracked movements. Slowly, a picture formed. The spy was careful, but not careful enough to hide from human persistence. Finally, they had their answer. A minor Korani official named Tekvil had been sending information to Krevtal agents. In exchange, they promised him power in a new galactic order. The arrest happened quietly, without fanfare. Tekvil confessed quickly when shown the council chamber was packed. Every seat was filled, and representatives from dozens of extra species had arrived to witness the historic session. News of what happened had spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Everyone wanted to see the humans who stopped the Krevtal raiders. Do-hyun stood at the center of the chamber in his full military uniform. Medals from Earth's conflicts decorated his chest. Soman stood beside him, along with Taiyang and Minji. All four humans looked calm, professional, completely composed. Velmara opened the session. Captain Kim, the council requests your detailed account of the incident. We have reviewed the security recordings, but we wish to hear your perspective. Do-hyun nodded and began. He spoke clearly, describing every action in military terms. He explained the tactical situation, how they assessed the threat, why they decided to fight. He did not apologize or try to make the violence sound nicer. He simply gave them the facts. When he finished, silence filled the chamber. Then the questions started. A Varath representative stood. Captain Kim, you said you identified 17 separate targets in the first 3 seconds. How is such rapid assessment possible? Training, Do-hyun replied. Human military people practice threat identification for years. We learn to scan areas automatically, finding weapons, positions, danger levels instantly. A Korani delegate clicked nervously. But the speed suggests combat instincts, not learned skills. Your species reacts to violence as if it is natural. Minji stepped forward. If I may explain the biology, human evolution favored quick reactions. Our ancestors faced predators that could kill in seconds. Those who reacted fastest survived to have children. Modern humans still carry those instincts. That is exactly what worries us, a Thornok said in his deep voice. You carry instincts for violence in your DNA itself. How can we trust you will not turn those instincts against peaceful species? Soman answered, because instinct is not the same as action. Every human feels anger, but we do not all act on it. Every human can be violent, but we choose control. That choice defines our civilization. The debate went on for hours. Some delegates praised the human help, calling them heroes. Others expressed fear, calling them dangerous. A few suggested humanity should be banned from council space entirely, labeled a threat to galactic peace. Persia, the young felon scholar, stood hesitantly. Her voice was soft but clear. I almost died that day. I felt the raider's weapon against my head. I heard him pull the trigger. Then a human saved me. He moved faster than I could see. He did not hesitate. Yes, it was frightening. Yes, humans are dangerous. But they are dangerous to our enemies, not to us. She turned to face the chamber. The council lived in peace for 12,000 years. We thought peace was natural, that civilized beings would always choose cooperation. The raiders proved us wrong. They showed us there are still those who choose violence. And when violence came, we were helpless. We needed someone who understood violence. We needed the humans. Her words seemed to change something in the chamber. The fear did not disappear, but it mixed with reluctant acceptance. The galaxy had changed. Peace could not be assumed anymore. Valmara raised her hand for silence. The council has discussed this extensively. We have reviewed all evidence and considered all views. We have reached a decision about humanity's status. The chamber went completely quiet. Every eye turned to the Chancellor. Humanity will be granted full council membership, effective immediately. However, this comes with specific conditions. Human military ships will be limited in council space. Human combat methods will be shared with council security, but under strict supervision. And humanity will create a defense training program for species who wish to learn protection strategies. She paused, her crystal antlers catching the light. We also admit the council's security has been poor. For too long, we relied on peace without preparing to protect it. Humanity reminded us that safety requires work. Therefore, we are creating the Joint Defense Initiative to be led by human military advisors working with council security experts. Sounds of conversation filled the chamber, mixing approval and concern. But no one objected. The attack made the need too obvious. Dalian bowed formally. Humanity accepts these conditions with honor, Chancellor. We will prove worthy of your trust. See that you do, Valmara said. The galaxy is watching. Over the following days, everything moved fast. Taiyang was approached by representatives from many species, all wanting to learn human combat methods. He organized a basic training program, starting with simple defense tactics. Teaching peaceful herbivores to fight was challenging. Many students struggled with the basic idea of treating others as threats. No, Taiyang said patiently to a Thornok student holding a weapon. You grip it like you are afraid it will hurt you. The weapon is a tool. Respect it, but do not fear it. The Thornok tried again, his huge hands shaking. I cannot do this. My people do not believe in causing harm. Then do not cause harm, Taiyang replied. Believe in protecting others. That is different. Slowly, the student began to understand. Fighting to hurt was different from fighting to protect. One came from aggression. The other came from love. Minji worked with council engineers, reviewing security systems and finding weaknesses. She was shocked by how open to attack the station was. You have almost no backup power, she explained to an engineer named Kivrol. If someone cuts electricity to Sector 3, the whole East Wing goes dark. On a human station, we have backups for the backups. We never needed such things, Kivril said defensively. The Council has been peaceful for 12,000 years, I know, Minji interrupted gently. But peace ended. Now we prepare for what is real. Together they began designing better systems. Redundant power. Multiple communication networks. Sealed doors that could create safe zones. All the things humanity learned from centuries of conflict. Somin met with different council groups, helping manage the politics after the attack. Some species wanted huge military budgets. Others insisted more weapons would create more violence. She worked to find balance, pushing for defense without turning the galaxy into an armed camp. Think of it like a house, she explained to Vareth diplomats. You lock your doors not because you expect thieves every night, but because it is sensible. Security does not mean aggression. It means preparation. The diplomats listened. Humans had a way of explaining things that made sense, even when the ideas were uncomfortable. Doing spent time with Velmara, planning the Joint Defense Initiative. The Chancellor was still processing what happened, still coming to terms with violence she witnessed. I led the Council for 30 years, she said quietly. I was proud of solving conflicts through discussion. I believed any problem could be talked through with patience. Then a raider put a gun to a scholar's head, and all my beliefs were worthless. Discussion is still important, Dohyun assured her. But discussion only works when both sides want to talk. The raiders did not want to talk. They wanted to take. Against such people, you need different tools. Tools like humanity. Tools like self-defense ability, Dohyun corrected. We are not your weapons, Chancellor. We are your teachers. We will show you how to protect what matters. What you do with that knowledge is your choice. Velmara nodded slowly. I hope we prove wise enough to use it correctly. As weeks passed, Minji's analysis teams discovered troubling patterns. The Kreftal were not alone. Other raider groups existed in the galactic rim, hiding in shadows between stars. And all of them had been watching the Council for years, waiting for the right moment to attack. The Kreftal attack was not random, Minji reported to Velmara. It was coordinated with at least 3 other raider clans. They were testing our defenses. The question is whether they will try again. What do you recommend? The Chancellor asked. Increase patrols along the rim. Early warning systems in vulnerable areas. And most importantly, continued training for Council species. The next attack may not come tomorrow, but it will come. Velmara authorized all of Minji's suggestions. The Council that once prided itself on 12,000 years of peace now prepared for war. It was a strange change, and not everyone was happy. A protest gathered outside Taiyang's academy one morning. Peaceful demonstrators held signs reading "Violence breeds violence" and "Return to Council principles." They were not completely wrong. Increased security did change galactic civilization's character. But Taiyang understood something the protesters did not. Safety is not free. It requires constant watching. He went out to talk to them personally. I understand your concerns. You fear that teaching combat will make us more violent. But consider this. Every student at my academy learns not just how to fight, but when not to fight. They learn that violence is a last choice, used only when all other options fail. That lesson matters as much as any combat skill. One protester, a Thonic named Velkon, shouted back. But you are teaching our children to be killers. No, Taiyang replied firmly. I am teaching your children to be protectors. There is a difference. A killer seeks to harm. A protector seeks to prevent harm. If we teach nothing but peace, what happens when peace fails? The answer is what you saw months ago. Good people die while others watch helplessly. The crowd went. 6 months passed. The council had changed in ways both obvious and subtle. Armed guards now walked the station corridors, though they moved politely and kept weapons holstered. Emergency drills happened weekly, teaching delegates how to reach safe areas quickly. The chamber itself had been strengthened with blast doors and backup power. Captain Do-Yoon Kim was now Admiral Kim, commanding a small fleet of human ships assigned to council space. The promotion came with ceremony and celebration, though Do-Hyun still felt uncomfortable with attention. He preferred doing things to being praised for them. The Joint Defense Initiative had grown beyond expectations. Taeyang's training academy now filled an entire moon orbiting Vareth Prime. Hundreds of students from dozens of species learned defense tactics, strategic thinking, crisis response. Teaching beings who evolved without predators to think like fighters was slow work. But progress happened. "Keep your stance low," Taeyang instructed a group of felon students. "You are small, which makes you harder to hit. Use that advantage. Stay mobile." One student, a young female named Kersha, performed the drill perfectly. She had cried after every combat simulation during her first week, terrified of the violence. Now she moved with confidence, understanding that being able to fight meant she could also choose not to. That choice gave her power. "Better," Taeyang said approvingly. "Remember, the goal is not winning fights. The goal is protecting those who cannot protect themselves." Kersha nodded. She understood now. Violence was not about aggression. It was about having options when someone threatened the helpless. Minji ran the council's new threat assessment division from a secure facility on the station. Her team included brilliant minds from across galactic civilization, each bringing unique views. Together they watched the galactic rim, looking for signs of other hidden threats. "Look at this pattern," she said to her staff, pointing at a star chart. 3 merchant ships disappeared in this sector over the last month. The council wrote them off as navigation accidents. But the disappearances follow a path. Something is hunting along this route. A Vareth analyst named Sylvan nodded. "We should send a scout ship to investigate." "Already arranged," Minji replied. "Admiral Kim is sending the vigilance tomorrow. They have orders to watch and report, not fight. We learned from the Krevdal incident. Information first, action second." The team continued their work, finding patterns invisible to those who did not think like predators tracking prey. Someone had become one of the council's most powerful voices. She worked tirelessly for balanced security, arguing against both excessive militarization and dangerous complacency. Some species still feared humanity's warrior nature. Others wanted to turn the entire galaxy into an armed fortress. Someone walked the line between extremes, building alliances and finding compromise. "Security is not about having the biggest weapons," she told a session debating military budgets. "It is about being prepared, being alert, being willing to act when necessary. The humans did not save you because we had better guns. We saved you because we recognized danger and responded correctly." The gallery was full of species who once dismissed humanity as primitive newcomers. Now they listened carefully to every word the human ambassador spoke. Admiral Daehan's fleet responded to 3 more incidents over the months. A pirate attack near a mining colony. A hostage situation on a passenger liner. A border dispute threatening to turn violent. Each time, human help ended the crisis with few casualties. The galaxy began understanding what humanity offered. Not aggression, but protection. Not conquest, but guardianship. The same instincts making humans dangerous made them ideal defenders. On the first anniversary of the Krevtal attack, a memorial was built in the council chamber. It listed names of all who died defending the station, including one human name. Specialist Hyen Kang, A young officer from the Perseverance, who took a shot meant for a Guarani delegate during the fighting at the dedication ceremony. Velmara spoke to the assembled crowd. 1 year ago, we learned a painful lesson. We learned that peace is not guaranteed, that safety requires effort, that civilization must be defended. We also learned we had allies we did not know we needed. She gestured toward the human delegation. Humanity came to us as observers, asking to join our council. We gave them trial status, unsure if they belonged in our peaceful galaxy. Then violence came, and these humans showed us what they truly were. Not monsters, not killers, but protectors. Warriors who fight not for conquest, but for justice. The Chancellor paused, her voice growing stronger. Some fear humanity's capacity for violence. I understand that fear. I felt it myself watching Commander Choi move through this chamber, precise and deadly. But I also saw him save a young scholar without hesitation. I saw Ambassador Lee risk herself to stop an execution. I saw Admiral Kim organize our defense while keeping us calm. And I saw Specialist Kang give his life for one of us. She turned to face Do-Yoon directly. Humanity, you asked to observe our civilization. Instead, you saved it. The Council formally thanks you and welcomes you as full equals. We are honored to call you friends. The chamber erupted in applause. Not everyone was completely comfortable with humanity's presence, but everyone recognized what humans had done. They proved themselves through actions, not words. After the ceremony, the human delegation gathered privately in their quarters. They shared drinks and thought about the year's changes. So much had happened since they first arrived, nervous newcomers in an ancient civilization. Do you think they will ever fully trust us? Minji asked. Someone considered the question. Some will, some will not. Trust must be earned, and we are still earning it. At least they are not trying to kick us out anymore, Taiyang said with a slight smile. Remember those first sessions? I thought half the council wanted us gone. They did, Do-Yoon confirmed. But we showed them what humanity really is. Not just warriors, the people who use strength to protect the weak. That is something they can respect. Later, standing alone by the window, Do-Yoon looked out at the stars. Earth was out there somewhere, that beautiful, dangerous world that forged humanity in fire and ice. Everything humans were, everything they could do, came from that world's challenges. Other species evolved on garden worlds where food was plentiful and predators were few. They developed art, philosophy, complex social structures without needing to fight for survival. Their path to civilization was gentler than humanity's, but humanity's path taught different lessons. It taught that danger is always present. That safety must be earned. That peace requires those willing to defend it. These were hard lessons, written in blood and struggle across ages. But they were lessons the galaxy now needed. Somin joined him at the window. What are you thinking about? About how we got here, Do-Yoon replied. About ancestors who survived ice ages and predators and 1,000 other things that should have killed them. About everyone who fought to make humanity better, stronger, kinder. They brought us to this moment. And now we carry that history forward. Yes, we show the galaxy that predators can be more than their instincts. That evolution does not decide destiny. That humans, for all our violence capacity, choose to be protectors instead of conquerors. Somin nodded. It is a good history to carry. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching ships come and go from the station. Human vessels moved among alien designs, no longer outsiders but full members of galactic civilization. The universe had changed for humanity in one short year, and humanity had changed the universe right back. Somewhere in darkness between stars, other threats waited. The galaxy would face challenges again. Raiders would attack. Crises would emerge. Peace would be tested. But now the council had guardians who understood danger, who were shaped by millions of years surviving on a death world, who carried predator instincts controlled by conscious choice. Taiyang's students would graduate and teach others. Minji's analysts would keep watching for threats. Summon's diplomacy would build stronger alliances. Dohyun's fleet would stand ready, and if violence came again, humanity would respond the same way. With precision, with control, with exactly as much force as needed to protect the innocent and stop the guilty. The galaxy had witnessed humans in full predator mode. Some species would always fear that. Others would always appreciate it. But none would ever forget it. In the council chamber, delegates from hundreds of worlds debated policy and traded goods, just as they had for 12,000 years. But now armed guards stood watch. Now emergency systems stayed ready. Now training programs taught peaceful species how to defend themselves. The age of blind peace was over. The age of protected peace had begun. And humanity, the young species that arrived hoping to learn from ancient civilizations, had become the teachers of the hardest lessons. The lessons Earth taught its children over millions of years. That survival requires vigilance. That kindness requires strength. That peace requires warriors willing to fight for it. Velmara stood in the empty chamber late one night, looking at the memorial. One human name among many alien ones. Ian Kang, a young man who died protecting strangers from a world he had never visited. She touched the carved letters, gently. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for reminding us what we forgot." Outside the window, stars shone cold and distant.